Mythic Creatures was created by the American Museum of Natural History in New York in collaboration with the Field Museum in Chicago, the Australian Maritime Museum in Sydney, the Fernbank Museum of Natural History in Atlanta, and the Canadian Museum of Civilization in Gatineau, Quebec. So we're very pleased to bring it to the Ontario Science Centre in Toronto. Did you know that early naturalists often treated dragons, and you see one of course behind me, as part of the natural world? Biologists in Europe once wrote accounts of the behavior and habitat of dragons in the same way as they did with lizards and snakes. Chinese scholars have long classified the dragon as one of the 369 animal species with scales. So the exhibition really shows how science has evolved.
Mythologies are really part of the history of discovery. And science is a discovery of the natural world we live in. Scientists are constantly asking questions and constantly looking for evidence that would help all of us to refine our understanding of the world we live in. In the early days, mythologies, or the mythological creatures that were invented, did not come from complete nothing. They didn't come totally from the imagination. There were many pieces of evidence that came together. Travelers from around the world would come together with stories of things they'd seen and heard about. They often came from real pieces of evidence. For example, in southern Europe, you had miners who were digging in the ground would discover the bones of early discoveries of Protoceratops, a dinosaur. This dinosaur led to the belief that there were creatures like griffins or dragons. They were half bird, half lion, half lizard, because of the look of the bones themselves. When you think about this, though, this continues to today. We are still looking for the evidence of the time of the dinosaurs. And something I will point out, in the early stages of this, sure, they came up with these fabulous creatures, but as scientists began more and more to understand that there was a history of the world that we didn't understand before, began to put together the image of the age of the dinosaurs, we thought, even a few decades ago, that we had a real good, strong understanding of the way dinosaurs lived on the Earth. But recently, there have been more discoveries and more discussions about dinosaurs themselves. And, for example, one of the most extraordinary new developments is that people are thinking of, in terms of dinosaurs, some dinosaurs may have had feathers. And you think about dinosaurs in their relationship with birds. Scientists have been saying this for some time. To say, however, that now we can imagine some of the great dinosaurs having feathers the way we see birds today changes our view of dinosaurs themselves. It would change the way we show dinosaurs in museums, for example. What I'm trying to say is the image we have of creatures in the history of the world constantly changes as we make more discoveries, as we ask more questions. So to say that the early stages of mythological beasts is a time when people were just imagining things, well, I think would be totally wrong. It was simply the early stages of discovery and the early imaginings that allowed people to see the world the way they understood it based on the knowledge they had at the time.
I really love this exhibition. It was great. I learned a lot of mythical creatures and interesting things, and yeah, it was really fun.
Mythic Creatures features spectacular models, sculpture, painting, and textiles, along with artifacts ranging from soapstone carvings to skulls to shadow puppets to ceremonial masks. Such objects allow us to better understand how different cultures around the world have developed and used myths to make sense of their natural world. Even in today's world of science and exploration, people are fascinated by many of these creatures of folklore. The stories continue to appeal to our imagination, even if with current knowledge, we know the creatures have never existed.
Well, this exhibition is very educational because it does talk about the the bringing together of many different cultures and their images of the world through history, along with evidence that comes from things like paleontology and other aspects of zoology and geology. You see that there's evidence of real bones, real dinosaur bones, for example, and evidence from many different cultures showing images of dragons and the way they understood their world of beasts and the world of extraordinary animals. The educational value comes together in that people coming here will see that all of this comes from real discoveries, real attempts to make stories out of what we understood the world to be about. In this exhibition, there are beautiful artifacts brought together by anthropologists, for example, from many different cultures. Beautiful artifacts brought together from paleontological laboratories, zoological laboratories, coming together really for the first time, showing the combination of studies, showing that our understanding of the world comes from an understanding of many different cultures and an understanding from many different scientific disciplines. For young people especially, this shows them that science is still growing and that we're still bringing together different ways of thinking, even in science, so that we can understand the world in a better way.
The best thing I like about this exhibition is that I learned lots of stuff that are fake and real, because as you can see, I saw this unicorn and the guy said that nobody knows if it's real or fake.
I really like the exhibition. I learned that there are lots of other animals that are really big, like this huge ape. And yeah, I learned a lot of new things about animals.